Good morning and welcome back to BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today we're joined once again by Ian Matheson for this week's What the Papers Say. So, Ian, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Brooke, and I hope you are
Mhm.
too.
Yep, all good. So, what have you got for our members today?
Well, Poland closed its border with Belarus on
Mhm.
Friday, September the 12th.
Yep. And for any of our members who may not have seen this news, why has it happened?
Well, apparently it was due to Russian Belarusian military exercises, and the border stayed closed all of last week's.
Mhm. So, when we're looking at the impact that that's had and the consequences, how has this impacted members?
Well, it's obviously affecting a trade route that moves
Mhm.
90% of rail freight between China and Europe. And a lot of members are using that route now as an alternative to the more expensive air freight option or
Yeah.
the much slower ocean freight option.
Mhm. So, have the borders have they reopened now?
Well, not as we film this episode, Brooke. I guess a lot of shipments are now going to be delayed by geopolitical events once again.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, hopefully by the time we record next week's episode, we can say that they've opened.
Well, hopefully, yes. Meanwhile, container shipping still faces multiple headwinds. The
Mhm.
Drewry Composite World Container Index fell at 6% to $1,913 per 40-foot container in the week to September the 18th, and that's the 14th consecutive week of decline.
Yeah, of course. I know it's something that we've talked about a lot on here. So, what did Drury have to say about it?
Well, the rates on the major trade routes are now aligned in a downward direction,
Mhm.
though each is falling at different speeds. The
Yeah.
Trans-Pacific spot rates, for example, have resumed their decline after a brief recovery. And Drury said the momentum for general rate increases and blank sailings has now faded, which has led to that reduction in rates.
Yeah. So, when we're looking at the forecast, are they saying that they're expecting it to continue?
They certainly do, particularly as blank sailings ahead of China's Golden Week holidays beginning on October
Mhm.
the 1st start to increase.
Yes.
Indeed, falling rates, trade policy uncertainty, and vessel deployment changes suggest a period of continued volatility for global container shipping as the sector heads into the critical fourth quarter.
Yeah, of course. And from what I've read as well, they're looking at this continuing well into 2026. So, it's definitely something that we'll keep an eye out on.
Okay. Now, over in air freight, London Gatwick's £2.2 billion second runway project secured government approval this weekend. It's another important step in the planning process, although
Mhm.
government officials do concede that if the Gatwick scheme is subject to a judicial review, a process that the second planning bill would aim to curtail, then the project could be delayed.
Yeah, of course. Well, whatever happens, I know it's a big development in the UK's aviation sector.
That's right. And meanwhile, in their freight as well, a very familiar brand faces potential ownership changes as it continues to battle financial difficulties caused by the sanctions placed on Russia.
Yes, yeah. So for any of our members who may not have seen this news, can you tell us who that is?
It's a company called Volga Dnepa, the Russian oil
Mm.
cargo airline. The Russian newspaper Kommersant said it could be sold to the ex-chief executive of Red Wing Airlines and that the two
Mm.
parties have signed an initial agreement.
Yes. And from what I read in the article as well, I know that the Russian government they turned down the proposal to take over the business, didn't they?
They did, yeah, they got that option and they turned it down, yeah.
Hmm.
Now, staying with air cargo, new figures point to a decline in the on-time performance of major airlines.
Hmm. And where have you read that?
That's been produced by an organisation called Cargo IQ, which is the IATA interest group responsible for performance management standards. It said
Hmm.
average reliability dropped to 77% in July.
Yeah, and I know that's a big concern, especially for our members who are operating in that sector.
That's right. And well, on the basis we've uh, had a couple of negative news stories, I'll end this week's issue with a couple of lighter news items, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Right, on Wednesday this week, Transaid's latest cycle challenge gets underway.
Yes, of course. And TransAid is BIFA's chosen industry charity, so I know we'll be cheering all of the participants on.
That's right, Brooke. Nick Blacksell, who has designed every
Yeah.
issue of BIFA Link for the last 2 decades, is one of the participants. He'll be pedalling 200 miles over the 3 days between Cork and Dublin.
Yep, I know it's certainly a big challenge, so we'll pop the link in the description and hopefully we can get him and Translate some more sponsors.
Well, let's hope so, Brooke. I've sponsored him, and so has
Yes.
BIFA's events manager, Sharon Hammond. Well, Brooke, did you know that this week marks the autumn equinox in the Northern Hemisphere?
Yep, I did indeed. It's my favourite season of the year. But why do you mention it in today's episode?
Well, it heralds 3 gloomy months with ever shorter
Yep.
daylight hours. A growing body of research shows that the health benefits of sunlight have often been overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, maybe you'll have to consider a relocation for the next couple of months.
Not a bad idea, Brooke.
Right, well, thank you so much, Ian, as always, for this roundup. I know that our members will find it of use.
It's always Brooke, it's a pleasure.
Mhm. The links to all of the articles and reports that we've discussed today will be in the description as always. That's all for today's edition of B4 TV, your daily dose of industry information.